So a couple of takeaways. I want to do it in two different ways, and then we'll open it to Q&A. This is Bart's takeaway. And Macmillan obviously is one of our customers. It'll include kind of them, but it's obviously a wider cut. And for those that were in the session on Tuesday, this will look familiar because I think it's still quite relevant. So first of all, this whole area of, and our title is Using Social, or Leveraging Social CRM to Drive Customer Loyalty, Advocacy, and Satisfaction. I would humbly submit this really is a true work in progress. Nobody's nailed this. Everybody's on a journey. There are great achievements being made, and from my perspective, I think Michael and he was able to do at Macmillan, tremendous shifting of the needle. But there are some very serious challenges that remain. How do you listen well? What are good keywords? How do you make sure you filter on what's relevant? How do you make sure that you are integrating the knowledge into the CRM cost efficiently? How do you know what activities to take outbound to drive customer engagement? And many of the people, process, technology issues that we should be talking about as an industry in terms of getting people to buy into this. Michael alluded to the processes that need to be put into place before you slap the technology in. There's a whole bunch of challenges that remain. 5 years from now, this will probably be well solved. But right now, we're in the throes of a very big, evolution. I mentioned also that social media must be greater than a Facebook page or Twitter or a LinkedIn page, and that I humbly submit that hub and spoke approach that we talked about, leveraging the public sites, driving them into either private communities or your own website from which you can then do your digital marketing, is an attractive strategy. For the skeptics that talk about, and I've heard it a lot in this conference, and I must say as an industry person, it concerns me. Yeah, you can make ROI from social media, and I have a much more fundamental question, and that is, why would you be doing this if you didn't want to make money, if you weren't measuring money? And if you argue back, well, I want to try and see how it works, I just want to make an observation. It's very expensive to come down the pike. So make sure you have a clear limit, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 18 months, and that's when we pull the plug. A much healthier way is to do the metrics up front and manage the community towards those metrics successfully, and I know of no other way. I think that integrating social insight into CRM is really the Achilles heel of the industry, and it's not so much the integration component. AAA is one of our customers, and the classic example, if you just out of interest, how many are AAA members? American Automobile, very good for you. So, when you go to a AAA office, and they still exist, you always get treated very nicely. They're very sweet people. It's a not-for-profit community of 52 million North Americans, not insignificant. But one of the challenges the agents, they're called agents or frontline, employees have, is if I know a lot of information about you gathered through social channels, and AAA is very active in the social communities, how do I use that information? If you said something nasty about me, is that a time to address that with you when you come to visit me? How do I address something very positive you might have said? How do I use the information within a permission-based society? And I humbly submit, we'll solve the listening, we'll solve the filtering, we'll solve the getting it down into CRM. It's a personal challenge, it's a change management, it's a whole area of what do we do with the information we now have, and I submit that's going to be the Achilles heel, not just knowing what to do, but training people, making them feel comfortable, and we as a community, as a society, knowing and giving information in a way that makes us feel comfortable. And the last point I suggest only is that doing nothing is not an option. This is not Gartner likes to put up, and I'm very fond of Gartner, the next Monday morning and 90 days and, 120 days, whatever it may be, 180 days. The key point I want to mention is there's a tremendous amount of technology on the floor. There's a tremendous amount of technology that's not been shown. There's a tremendous amount of knowledge, good knowledge of how to do this. This is the year you must act.